Of course, Michelle Bachmann had her time at the top of the polls in the race for the Republican nomination for president. Then, Texas Governor Rick Perry, oh, by the way, he's a Richard, and he goes by Rick. Well played, Mr. Texas Governor. Texas Governor Rick Perry, he had his time at the top of the polls. You know that quote from Andy Warhol? In the future, everyone will have their 15 minutes of fame. Well, apparently, he was only talking about Republican presidential candidates. But Rick Perry is still in the race, despite all his troubles. After all, he looks like a guy who would run for president. But hey, you know, the men in black backstage at the debates with Rick Perry, they aren't the Secret Service. They're not even security. They're there to come out at the end of the debate and erase the memories of the audience. Just look at the light. When things started to fall apart for the Perry campaign, Rick Perry said he was totally exhausted by campaigning. He would like to take a break at his hunting camp, but he can't find it since they changed the name on the sign. And who can forget the night at the debate that Rick Perry could not remember the names of the federal agencies he wants to eliminate? Now, that whole fiasco is something no one understood about Rick Perry. When he could not remember the name of the federal agency that he will eliminate when he becomes president, that's because Rick Perry is a man of action. He is a doer. So when he thinks about eliminating a federal agency, in his mind, it already happened a long time ago. So of course he would forget the name of the agency. It would be like forgetting the name of the Pony Express. Rick Perry is a man of action. So when he drops out of the presidential race, in his mind, he won't be dropping out of the presidential race. He will be leaving office after 8 years in the White House. Now, it's no surprise that Rick Perry drew a blank that night at the debate. There are lots of blanks in his life. His camp sign, and ever since the operation, he shoots blanks. You know, and now this is a true story. Rick Perry's father-in-law gave him a vasectomy. That's all very deeply symbolic and kind of disturbing. Even Shakespeare thought that would be too strange of a storyline to put in King Lear. But you gotta love Rick Perry in a, boy, I'm glad he's not my governor kind of way. You know, if Texas had a position called Surgeon General, doesn't Michael Jackson Dr. Conrad Murray seem like the kind of doctor that Rick Perry would appoint to it? Here's something else about Rick Perry. Scientists might see a correlation between the flat earth people and flat tax supporters, but Rick Perry thinks the science of that link is unsettled. But speaking of unsettling things, did you see that animated cartoon of Rick Perry in New Hampshire with him giving a speech and talking about living free and dying? That animation was so lifelike. Animation has really improved. Wait, that was a live action clip? I didn't know. After Rick Perry's goofy New Hampshire speech, his poll numbers tanked. But he did get a contract to voice the dog characters in the Up sequel. Squirrel! Now, the only way Rick Perry's New Hampshire speech makes sense is if he was auditioning to play himself in a Saturday Night Live sketch. And why not? Actually, when I saw Rick Perry's New Hampshire speech, I still didn't want him to be president. But I thought, it'd be really cool if he could be the opening act at our next PTA meeting. A week or so after that goofy speech, I was shocked to see Rick Perry use a fancy word like canard in an interview. I guess he's been using Rosetta Stone to learn English. Good for him. Last month, Rick Perry announced that he wants to debate Nancy Pelosi? Whoa, this is kind of like the Columbia University football team, fresh off their winless season, itching to play the Packers. But things started to turn around when Rick Perry was on the cover of Parade magazine. I'm sure that means he's going to get that Republican nomination. I just remember the big boost that being on the cover of Parade magazine gave to Pee Wee Herman and his career. Oh, now here's an important news story from the presidential campaign. A Texas man has assaulted a woman with a frozen armadillo as the weapon. That's a true story. Now, why is that important? Because we have to remember that those are the people who have voted Rick Perry as governor 3 times. Of course, Rick Perry only agreed to all the debates, thinking that it was going to be like, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And he could phone friends, poll the audience. Rick Perry's debating troubles are caused by all that hunting, I think. He has seen that deer in the headlights look so much, he can't stop himself. It used to be that at the Republican debates, Herman Cain was pushing his 999, while Rick Perry dialed 911 whenever he got that, oh my God, my car is up a tree look in his eyes. Hey, now that's something Rick Perry could do. He could take over for that guy Jerry in the State Farm car insurance ads. He's always got his car up the tree. Oh, Governor Perry, is your car up a tree again?